Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm. The search for lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that's happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. And it's kind of a weird one, so we have somewhat somber, not so great news, but then we also have some new leaks and kind of exciting news, but it's just a weird time for the Lightning Collection right now, so let's go ahead and get right on into it. So first up for this week, we have Deluxe Wave 3 to talk about because it did arrive for some people, finally. Of course, which is just where we're at with this line right now, just like last week where the very first in-hand photos of S.P.D. Yellow had quality control problems, the very first in-hand photos of Blue SENTURION had quality control problems. So I was sent this photo of the first in-hand photo of him that showed that he included the Rollin holsters. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Blue SENTURION figure from Hasbro basically has these removable, swappable holster pieces, one that has a gap for you to actually fit his gun inside, and one that does not. And this person got two sets of the opened holsters, which I guess would be the better of the two to get duplicates of, I guess, but it's still not the correct holsters. They also got a duplicate of the badge mode version of kind of his morpher weapon thing, which at least he got the regular set that you're supposed to get, but like, why? Why are we getting this whole duplicate piece thing now with S.P.D. Yellow and now this? I don't really get that at all, because I also think that does that inevitably mean that somebody out there is not going to get their badge mode of that weapon for Blue SENTURION? I don't know. It's so strange, but it's just, of course, how ironic would it be that two figures in a row of the very first in-hand photos of them would have duplicate accessories or QC problems or what have you? Because of course. Now, In Space Silver and the Silver Cycle seem to have fared a little bit better. We actually got some pretty good comparisons between the new one and the Walgreens one that, was kind of a very elusive figure release. So there are a pretty good amount of differences between the two, besides just being a pinless one on the new deluxe one. There's actually some paint application differences on the Super Silverizer. I'm going to go into all of that in my full-on review of In Space Silver with the Silver Cycle, which, if my figures ever get delivered, I will actually do that. Let's check the tracking. I'm going to check it right now. If the mood of quality control consensus, having people's opinions on the Lightning Collection right now be that, was already at a low. That was a weird sentence. If that was already at a low, it's still at a pretty low. Yeah. And speaking of lows for our next story, this is a story that I don't want to talk about this story. It's not a good story, but it does pertain to the Power Rangers Lightning Collection in some degree, and so I feel like I should cover it here on Lightning Storm. It also fits in kind of the whole mentality or mindset of people's opinions on the line right now with the whole quality control thing. It's just another piece of bad news to talk about, unfortunately. So this happened a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't sure how much I would actually have to bring it up on Lightning Storm, but I figured it was probably inevitability that Hasbro had laid off 1,000 workers, 15% of their workforce, ahead of, I guess, preparing for a low Q4 2022 reports that's going to be coming out in a couple weeks or something. And so that was definitely an inevitability, basically, that was going to impact people on the Lightning Collection of Power Rangers brand team at Hasbro. And I wasn't sure, like I said, if I was going to be able to cover this really, or if I should cover this, because I wasn't sure exactly how vocal or public people would be about that, if they were laid off, or if we would even know. But we had at least two people this past week that we know got laid off because of this, which is just super unfortunate here. And they actually posted publicly, or posted in some kind of public form, about the fact that they're not there anymore. So first of all, we had Amanda, who was the Director of Global Brand Strategy and Management for the Power Rangers brand for only about 11 months or so, from like April 2022 onward here. So we never saw Amanda on any fan streams or anything like that. She was just somebody in the background working on the team in an important way. But based off the links from kind of her LinkedIn thing here, it seemed like she had some sort of hand in the panels that the brand team put together, like their presentations at Hasbro PulseCon 2022, or the fan stream from the Power Week celebration in August. And for events that we had in 2022, those were certainly some of the highlights. As we saw, she started with the brand in April 2022, which was after the infamous Fan First Tuesday incident, which was the worst performance from the Power Rangers brand team that we've ever had at Hasbro. And so if she was the one involved, or the one responsible for kind of bringing up those quality of the streams that we had over the last couple of months, then it's really going to be a big shame that we don't have her on the team anymore, because they were, I think, finally improving, actually getting to a pretty good spot with those fan streams after a reasonable, lackluster kind of sequence of multiples of those. So it just sucks, it's just a big shame that we lost her for the brand team. Now, somebody that we actually did get to see on streams, but not in a very, very long time, was Corey, who was one of these sculptors of the line. Apparently, he also worked on G.I. Joe Classified. I think Amanda also worked on G.I. Joe stuff as well, based off of the posts that we have. But he was one of the first sculptors in the entire line. Now, we know we also have Dennis, who's like a freelance sculptor who does a lot of Lightning Collection stuff, and I'm not sure exactly how many figures Corey had a hand in, but from what I can understand from just reading about stuff from him this past week, was he was one of the main architects of the initial waves of Lightning Collection and G.I. Joe Classified, which I have a Classified figure right here. And this is a fantastic line. So, when we think of kind of the generic Lightning Collection body mold, it seemed like Corey was probably at least fully or partially responsible for that. We actually did get to see him back on a Fan First Friday event in 2020 with a whole big display of Power Rangers figures all behind him, and then he was at PulseCon 2022. And I think that the sculptors for this line are incredibly talented. I mean, everybody behind the brand is incredibly talented. I don't understand a lot of the brand's decisions from like a marketing standpoint or a design standpoint, but sculpting-wise, this line really has not had many problems whatsoever. Most of the time it comes in the paint department, which isn't necessarily sculpting. I don't exactly understand how this whole process works fully, but I don't think that he would necessarily be the one in charge of painting. But still, regardless, it's just unfortunate to see people, who are obviously incredibly talented and I think brought us some pretty good things with this line that we love so much, no longer be employed at Hasbro because of just a whole sequence of layoffs. It's just incredibly unfortunate. Now, we have no way of knowing right now until we get the next Fanstream event if any of the people that we see, like Pam or Jordan or John sometimes, Loretta, we assume that they're all probably still there, but we don't really know, and we're probably never really going to know. It's not our business to know anyway. Those are their private lives, and it's already kind of weird enough that we know as much of these people as we do, because we see them all the time on fan streams and everything, but I think it makes it suck more because since we have these fan streams, we can put a name and a face to the people who make these products, and so when we hear things like this, it makes me feel, not that I wouldn't be sad otherwise, but like it makes me just feel even more sad because like we have actually kind of seen some of these people and see the work that they've done, and it's just, I don't know, it really sucks there. So if they're watching, or if anybody on the Hasbro team is watching, I'm sorry. I feel really bad about the whole layoff thing. I know obviously it's not my fault or anything, but like it's a sucky situation for anybody, and I feel really bad for those and who are affected by it, and I hope that they're able to bring their talents to another toy company or another bigger and better opportunity in the future. And just, if they're watching, good luck on all your future endeavors, and I'm just really sorry to see that this had to be the case. So shifting off of that, I don't really know how we kind of go from a bunch of layoffs to back to talking about a bunch of action figures again, but I don't really know how to do it, so it's just we're just going to jump into it with it. So we have a couple things to talk about for just kind of in-stock things, and also some clarifications to kind of wrap up the more somber part of the video and kind of head into the more optimistic and exciting leak part that we love to do on the show. So first of all, last week I talked about how, I didn't talk about it on Lightning Storm, but I tweeted out that I canceled my Lightning Collection pre-orders. Yeah, that's true. I did. So, in the kind of the mentality or the mindset that I was in last weekend and everything, I just was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm done. I'm not done. That's the whole point of me even talking about this today. I'm not done. But I was just kind of over it, And I've been really busy, and my schedule's freeing up a little bit now finally, but I've been super busy with school-related things. You might have even noticed this artwork piece behind me that I've been working on. I just didn't move it off my bed, but that's for an art class. But I've been busy with my film class stuff. But basically, yeah, I canceled all of my Lightning Collection pre-orders for the most part. I canceled my Wave 14, my Astro Megazord, I canceled the remastered figures, stuff like that. I'm still going to collect every single thing for the Lightning Collection, don't get me wrong. I have to do videos on everything. I want to collect everything in the Lightning Collection. But first of all, I'm done shopping at Hasbro Pulse, except for very few things, because I would hope that try to show them a message about how dissatisfied we are. I would hope that not shopping on Pulse, trying to bring as little money to Pulse as possible would be one of the best ways to show them that. But also, I'm kind of just tired of paying for a lot of the stuff at full price. First of all, you don't need to pre-order any of this nonsense. First of all, I hardly think that pre-ordering is even worth it at this point, because most of the time I end up canceling pre-orders anyway, because some other random store that I didn't pre-order it at will be the first location to get it, and I end up canceling and swapping over there anyway. And I'm probably going to keep doing that for figures. I've already kind of talked about some on the channel, but like big roleplay items and Zap stuff necessarily, I'm not getting right when they come out because I just don't think a lot of those are worth their price point. That's why I don't have the Draken helmet yet. I don't have the Power Daggers yet. I don't have the Yellow Ranger Morpher yet. All things I need to get and plan to get eventually, but I'm waiting on a sale. I might even wait on a sale for the remastered figures. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with those yet, but just in case you were curious, kind of a clarification of that tweet, yes, I canceled most of my pre-orders. But also, yes, I'm not dropping the line. But I think that it's just one of those things to where I'm trying to find a good common ground of showing them that I'm upset with my money a little bit because I still want to buy everything, but also not necessarily like jumping to give them money at the full price or anything like that, if that makes sense. And maybe that's a stupid mentality to have with this because it's giving them money anyway, but I don't know. It's kind of something I'm comfortable enough with doing, I suppose, and I kind of just wanted to clarify that. Now, kind of the point of the story when I say that is the remastered figures are in stock on CMD Store. So if you want to get those right now, they are a Canadian retailer. They do ship to the US, and they have them for just a little bit more than retail. They have them for $36.99 instead of $34.99, and after shipping it's like $86 or something like that. So if you want to get them right now, you can do so, or you can wait until like March or April or May or whatever the release dates in the US websites have them for right now, or you can wait for a sale on them, because I'm kind of conflicted by these, because like with 30th anniversary stuff, I feel like they might sell out, or not really sell out, but sell well. But I also feel like because of that, they would make a lot more of them. So I'm kind of 50-50 on if it's worth trying to jump on them right away. I will definitely be getting them. I really do like the improvements that they've brought to the remastered line, but I'm not really going to get them right now. Now, I will also say here is that this happened before the whole I canceled pre-orders and going to maybe try to wait for sales on certain things thing happened, and all the QC mentality made me not really a fan of the brand right now. When before all that happened, I already had Mesagog on the way from Singapore, so I'm going to be getting him pretty soon, probably in the next like week or so or something like that. So stay tuned for the review on him there. But I'm not really sure exactly when I'll get remastered or any of that kind of stuff. But there will be videos eventually on all that kind of stuff, just not right away. And then all of that brings us to leaks. We have some new leaks, we have some updates on old leaks, so let's go ahead and jump right into it with this, which, like I said, feels a little weird. I think Anthony from Heroes of Fandom summed it up perfectly when they said, let's all get excited again and then be angry again when there are QC issues. Seriously though, do any new leaks / release dates matter if the final product ends up being garbage? And yeah, he's right. I cannot disagree with that statement. That is a very fair statement, but sometimes leaks just end up happening, and of course I'm going to cover them when they happen. And this is just a pretty bad time for leaks to happen because we're all kind of not in the best mood with this line right now. So, first of all, brief updates about some of the stuff that we have been talking about for a very long time, but we still haven't had officially announced, starting with S.P.D Yellow. So S.P.D Yellow, as we saw, was actually released in Singapore last week, but apparently she's also now released in Malaysia. So of course that means KIDM the Man has posted his video review, or kind of a live stream unboxing review of S.P.D Yellow if you actually want to see it in video form, because we just had a bunch of pictures before. That will be linked in the description below. We still don't know exactly where she's being sold in the US, or how, or where, or whatever, but there's that. Speaking of Yellow Ranger figures, Lost Galaxy Yellow. So that one is a weird one. I just wanted to bring it up very briefly, because when that listing first went up on GameStop Ireland like a month and a half ago, she was listed as a release date of February 13th, which is this upcoming Monday, and we've seen no indication of that actually panning out. I was always kind of hesitant on believing that would pan out anyway, but it could. I don't know. I would not be surprised if she's a figure that just shows up in Singapore or shows up in Malaysia or whatever have you in the next like week or so, because that's just kind of how these things keep happening, and she seems like she's probably next in line for that to be the case, which would be great because I would love to see her box, because we haven't seen a picture of the box yet. But I'm not really having a lot of hope or putting a lot of weight into that February 13th release date on GameStop Ireland, especially since the listing was pulled like a month ago, but that's just one thing to keep in mind. And then finally, CFC MMPR posted this really interesting photo to me yesterday from GameStop Canada, where there's actually this flyer that's on display showing that Invisible Phantom Ranger is going to be released there next month. Well, alright then. So we still haven't seen any official announcement of that figure at all yet. We knew that it was very likely going to be an exclusive. I kind of am just saying at this point, I mean, I still don't know where any three of these figures are being sold at, except for the fact that all three of them are going to be exclusives. But at this point, it's seemingly kind of relatively likely that all 3 of these are just going to be GameStop exclusives, probably released around the same time, which would be great for them to, announce them. So I would love for them to announce these figures, because I want all 3 of these. Even if SPDL is kind of messed up and we have the whole problem with the Quasar Saber theme with Lost Galaxy Yellow, but hey, Invisible Phantom looks cool, I guess. But I still want them to announce all this stuff there, so that's just some minor updates about some stuff that we have already known about. Maybe you've forgotten about some of it that they still haven't officially talked about. But we have some new leaks. Okay, so it's time for another weapon accessories leak. So this was a fun one. So this was sent to me on Thursday night, and I posted about it on Friday morning. And on Twitter, I posted a very zoomed-in picture of it. But here on Lightning Storm, you're going to get the full picture. So if you're curious, this comes from the same source, so I'm not going to name, that sent the accessories photos of all of those weapons back in September. Which, if you remember that big photo of accessories, it had a bunch of unpainted or painted prototypes of weapons from numerous different Lightning Collection figures, and not even just Lightning Collection stuff. There was some G.I. Joe things in there as well, and it actually had the Brachio Staff and the Magna Bow and the Quasar Saber for Wave 14's Dino Thunder Black and Lost Galaxy Pink, which was kind of the first and earliest indication of being able to leak the existence of those figures to you guys. But in that scenario, I had heard from other sources. In fact, I think I can go ahead and say there was at least 3 different sources that kind of all worked together with me to give you that Wave 14 leak back in September. It was a really, really fun and interesting collaborative effort behind the scenes here, with a bunch of people I can't name. So that was a lot of fun. In this regard, I don't know what's happening. Just plain and simple, I don't know. So this comes from the same leak as the other accessories, so I definitely do believe it. But they share with me this picture, which has a ton of random weapons. We have a bunch of civilian heads at the top. We have a bunch of unpainted weapons, like Psycho Blue's axe is unpainted, Sabo's unpainted. We have this staff, which comes from I think it was Corvus Glaive, or was it Corvus Glaive? Marvel Legends figures for, the Children of Thanos. So that's a staff there. My roommate Keyshawn told me that this sword is from Genji from Overwatch, so that solved that one. But we also have this one sword I still can't place. I have no idea what sword that is. It was on the old accessories leak, and it was on the new accessories leak. But then, circled in the big green circle, but also down at the bottom, that is a samurai spin sword. So very, 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 very excited about that, if that is what I think it means. Which I don't see why this wouldn't be what I think it means. So I think that would mean that Samurai is coming to the Lightning Collection. But what's really interesting is that since it's the spin sword, which is the generic sword that all 5 of the main Rangers and Lauren would have, there's no way of knowing which Samurai figure this would be. So this is one of the funnest leaks I think we've ever had. We now know, more than likely at this point, that Samurai is probably now in the works for the Lightning Collection. But I genuinely have no idea which one it would be. At all. So, I know a lot of times I've said that there's been certain things that I know about that I'm not allowed to say at Lightning Storm just because of certain sources, and I try to respect that as much as I possibly can. And to be 100% transparent here, none of my sources know what this is for. So, none of my sources know, none of my sources have heard anything, but one of my sources got this picture of accessories, sent it to me. It has a samurai spin sword. It's in a big group of a bunch of different Hasbro things. I don't think that's a spin sword or a Shinkenmaru from any other figure release. I will say, it kinda looks like the Shinkenmaru that comes with the Shinkenger vinyl figures that released in 2009. So, I mean, unless it's a really, really weird, bizarre situation to where somebody took one of those from that and put it in here with a bunch of Hasbro things to fool people, which, I mean, that seems like a really elaborate effort that I don't know, but it doesn't match like Bandai spin swords, it doesn't match the figure arts or anything like that, so I don't think it's anything from anything else. So I think it is a Hasbro spin sword accessory for some kind of upcoming Hasbro-made samurai figure that just kind of seems to make the most sense. But like I said, there could be maybe some kind of very slight chance of deceitfulness here, so keep that in mind. But I don't know. I have no idea what Samurai Ranger this would be. My money would be on Lauren. She would probably be the biggest fan favorite one to do, especially since she had such a big role in the Shattered Grid comics and for the Battle for the Grid video game. It just would kind of make the most logical sense, but I really don't know. However, there is one thing I do know that I can talk about that isn't Samurai, and that's because of ProRanger.com. So they quote tweeted my Samurai tweet and said, "We now have leaks or rumors or teases for 4 upcoming teams for the Lightning Collection: Turbo, RPM, Samurai, and Lightspeed Rescue. Lightspeed Rescue? So, yeah. So I posted a tweet that said, who said anything about Lightspeed Rescue? And then they posted a little, like emoji. And then I posted a little cool tweet that said, if those rumors are true, then I'm going to be pretty blue away. Yeah, so Lightspeed Blue. So Lightspeed Blue is coming to the Lightning Collection. That was something that for a long time, a very, very long time, I wanted to tell you guys about, but I haven't been allowed to until now. But since Per Ranger dropped or spilled the beans on that one, now I can do so. So, yeah, finally I can talk about this. So this goes alongside RPM Yellow, Turbo Red, some other Samurai figure, and Lightspeed Blue. So I'm not going to say this is Wave 15 because I genuinely don't know if that is the case, if this is Wave 15 or not, but a red, yellow, blue, and then a season that we don't know a color for yet, that does seem like a pretty good wave to me. But then again, that would be wild if we start 3 brand new teams in one wave. That would be wild. But yes, finally, I can tell you, Lightspeed is coming to the Lightning Collection. So I actually get a lot of comments that say, when are they going to do Lightspeed Rescue? How are they going to start Lightspeed Rescue? I'm waiting for Lightspeed Rescue. And this entire time, I've been sitting here just like, but I could finally say it. So thank you, Per Ranger, for spilling the beans on that one. So yes, we have 4 upcoming teams. Technically 3, because like I said, I still would say the Turbo has started coming to the Lightning Collection. We just don't know exactly when, how, where, who, any of that kind of stuff. But they are working on things, unless the line just completely implodes. But besides that, they are working on things, I think. Alright, and with that is going to do it for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. Of course, until next time, I'd like to know all your thoughts down in the comments below about anything I talked about this week. And until then, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LiveRangerKey or LightningFigPR, and I'll see you all in Lightning Storm. This here's your lightning always strikes twice. To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brandon Overland, Maji Yellow, Redstone MCPC, Comics 1017, James Dartley, Monster Rocket, John Luke, Eric Berry, Tyler Brzezinski, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, and Pyramidas. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, link in the description below.